do you want? A choice. A chance.
There's your chance. Take it.
Grateful.
The day will come when you won't be.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Back again with another throwback review for The Walking Dead. This is for Season 4, Episode 3, entitled Isolation. Alright, guys, the episode starts out in the inner courtyard. Tyrese explains to Rick, Carol, and Daryl how he found Karen and David's charred corpses. He came to see Karen, saw the blood trail on the floor, and led him outside where he found they had been murdered in cold blood. Tyrese demands Rick to find out who did it and bring the killer to him. When the latter tries to calm him down, he turns violent and attacks Rick, punching him in the face twice. Daryl holds him back, and Carol tries to stop Rick from retaliating, but it's too late. Rick charges at Tyrese, knocking him down and brutally beating his face. Daryl eventually pulls Rick off Tyrese before it can go any further. Rick looks at his severely injured hand, horrified at what he just did. Dr. S and Herschel are looking over a bite victim who got his arm amputated. Unluckily, the victim dies of blood loss. Dr. S reluctantly prepares to put him down. Later, Herschel is seen bandaging Rick's hand. He comments on the group's situation and that everything they worked so hard for to keep out just found its way in, and briefs Rick on the flu situation. It is spreading, and that another council meeting is to be held the next day to make a final decision as what they should do. Tyrese is seen digging graves for Karen and David. Bob approaches him, telling Tyrese to go see Herschel and make sure he's all right. Tyrese firmly says that he will only after they are buried. Bob tries to change Tyrese's mind, but Tyrese glares at him and repeats, "Once they in the ground." Bob then starts to help him dig. Glenn suggests to Herschel that with Karen and David dead, the infection may have been cured after all. Sasha suddenly leaves cell block C, coughing violently. She assures Herschel that she would go to A block, where all the sick people are being isolated, to see Dr. S, who is revealed to be sick as well. At the meeting the following morning, the council eventually reaches a consensus that they need medical supplies in order to start the treatment. As Herschel mentions that there is an animal hospital facility nearby that could help, Glenn starts to show symptoms of the flu. The sick are led into cell block A while Carol watches over them wearing a mask for protection. Suddenly, Lizzie comes over and tells Carol that she is not feeling well. She asks if Carol can tuck her in, but Carol realizes that she might get infected. Heartbroken, Carol gives her a hug and sends her inside the cell block to Glenn before tearing off her mask and sobbing. Outside, Carol is pumping the water, pointing out to Rick that they are running low. They agree that the next day they would go out to clean out the cisterns. She suggests that Rick that he should talk to Tyrese before leaving back to the prison. Rick cautiously approaches Tyrese, who is finishing the graves. He says that he's sorry for hitting Tyrese and then proceeds to ask him if Karen and David had any enemies or anyone who had big problems with them. Tyrese fiercely denies this and then walks off, mocking Rick for spending the day looking at the water pumps instead of trying to find the murderer. In the cell block, Rick briefly talks to Carl to look over the office block where the most vulnerable survivors are being kept, the youngest kids and the elderly. Bob and Daryl fuel up a car, and Bob is disturbed but when Daryl reveals that it was Zach's car. Back in A block, Tyrese, who is there watching the sick, making sure no one will try to kill them, is asked to join the supply run for medical supplies with Daryl, Michonne, and Bob. He refuses at first, but Daryl is able to convince him otherwise, saying he'll help them more in the run, looking for medicine than there, watching. He bids farewell to sick Sasha and leaves with the team. In the office block, Herschel decides to go into the woods, hoping to find herbs, elderberries, to treat the patients. After a tense moment with Carl, who insists that he go along with Herschel, they reach an agreement where Carl goes out with him. Outside, Herschel comments that he'd be good without him and remarks how peaceful it is out there, how safe it is out there compared to the prison. Carl disagrees, pointing out to a nearby severely decomposed walker, and soon another one shows up. Carl prepares to shoot it, but Herschel stops him and tells him that he doesn't need to. Carl realizes this, and they leave the place with the elderberries, with Carl remarking how peaceful it was. Rick goes to the tombs to investigate the courtyard. He examines the blood trail and takes a closer look at the door. There is a bloody handprint on the door, and Rick compares the print to his own hand, he notices that it is relatively smaller than his own, suggesting that the killer may have been female. Rick sighs and glances away. Arriving back at the prison, Maggie sees Herschel entering A block and warns him of the sick. Rick overhears the argument and sides with Maggie. Herschel then proceeds to remind them how they risk their life every day and every hour, no matter what they do. He says that there isn't no choice. The only choice is being able to choose what you're risking it for. Stating that he can help the sick, Herschel puts a bandana over his face and goes into the cell block. He gives Dr. S the herb tea. Suffering heavily from the symptoms, he coughs up blood and sprays it onto Herschel's face. Aware that he is most likely infected already, Herschel takes off the bandana and wipes his face. He also treats Glenn, giving him encouragement to keep pushing through. Outside, Carol sets up a distraction for the walkers while she sneaks outside the fence to fix the clogged water hose intake. At the same time, several walkers emerge from the forest behind Carol, while at the same time a few of the walkers at the fence turn their attention towards her. Rick notices this and runs towards her. Carol hurriedly attempts to finish but drops the fitting into the pond. Rick comes to her aid just in time. They both run back towards the fence and make it back inside. Rick tells her they agreed to fix the hose tomorrow. We don't know if we'll have it tomorrow, Carol replies. Rick later confronts Carol in the courtyard, calling her actions earlier moronic. Carol half-heartedly agrees, and as she begins to walk away, Rick asks Carol if there's anything that she wouldn't do for the group. After she responds no, he asks her if she killed Karen and David, and after a moment she replies calmly with a simple yes. While driving towards the hospital for the supply run, the group hears a voice over the car radio repeating the words sanctuary, sanctuary, survive. Daryl is distracted by it and he hits a few walkers on the road. He stops the car, shocked at the massive herd of thousands of walkers between them and their destination. Daryl drives in reverse and runs over several more walkers, which pile up under the car, lifting the rear wheels and utterly immobilizing it. The rear tires spin, splattering blood and gore out onto the side panels, forcing them to abandon the car. Daryl, Michonne, and Bob make it out and hold their own, but Tyrese stays behind, seemingly in a stupor. Bob eventually snaps him out of it, and Tyrese storms out of the car in rage, ferociously begins to kill the walkers that quickly surround him, yelling at the others to go, and as he is surrounded. After running in the woods for a while, the group stops to rest and notices movement in the bushes. Tyrese emerges, covered in walker guts and blood, but alive and unscathed. They keep moving as the walkers chase them, as the episode comes to an end. Alright guys, that was the throwback review for Season 4, Episode 3, entitled Isolation. I appreciate you checking this out as always, and like, comment, most importantly subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.
Welcome to Woodburn.
Pushing my pants yet?